Hi everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Nancy, and if you are new to my channel, kindly subscribe, share and like my videos, and also put on the notification bell to be notified when I upload new tutorials. So this is a requested tutorial, and in today's class you'll be learning how to make a shirt with a bishop collar and a stylish extravagant sleeve. This beautiful top can be rocked in different ways. You can wear it on a skirt, on a pants trouser or a jean trouser, or even just a two-piece using a wrapper. So the name of the fabric I used is a crepe fabric, and the amount of fabric I used for the blouse is 1 yard and 26 inches. And for those of us that would like to rock this top with a short pants as displayed on the thumbnail, I'll be dropping the link in the description box. Alright guys, so let's get started. So these are the essential measurements we'll be working with. We have the shoulder measurements, the bust circumference, the waist circumference, which is 26 inches, the half length, which is 15 inches, the hip circumference, and the armhole circumference. Then finally, we have the length of the top, which is 25 inches. The first step is to fold the fabric into two. To know the wideness of the fold you need, you divide the bust circumference by 4 plus 5 inches sewing allowance to that. So since this is a button down shirt, you need to make a placket which will be at the center front of the shirt. And to achieve this placket, I'll be folding the center front of the fold in by 2 inches. The first step is to mark the starting line. The next line is the armhole line, which is 16 inches divided by 2, and that gives me 8 inches. Obviously, you can see that I didn't extend the chalked horizontal line to the placket, which is at the center front. Now, the next horizontal line is the waistline, which is 15 inches. The next line is the full length of the top. The full length of the top is 25 inches. I added 1.5 inches sewing allowance, which made it 26 inches altogether. And this is the shoulder line, the bust line, the waistline, and the full length of the top. Since I folded the placket in by 2 inches, the next step is to divide the placket into 2. So you'll be having 1 inch on one side and 1 inch on the other side as shown. This simply means that the measurements I'm about to place will be starting from this new vertical line. Now for the neck measurements, I'll be working with a neck width of 2.5 inches starting from this new vertical line, and for the neck depth, I'll be marking 3 inches to connect the 2 points together to form a round neckline. The next step is to mark the shoulder measurements. The shoulder measurements is 14 inches divided by 2. I have 7 inches plus half inch sewing allowance. That will be 7.5 inches altogether. So I placed it starting from that new vertical line to mark 7.5 inches. And on this 7.5 inches, I marked 1 inch below that point to connect it to the neck width to form the slant shoulder. Now the next step is to extend the tip of the shoulder slope vertically downwards to the bust line as shown, and to get the midpoint of this new vertical line. Now I will use my French curve to connect the midpoint to the bust line in form of a curve, and this will be the armhole curve of the shirt. The next step is to mark the bust circumference. The bust circumference divided by 4 is 8.5 inches plus 3 inches sewing allowance because it isn't a fitted shirt. The waist circumference is 26 inches divided by 4, that's 7 inches, plus 3 inches sewing allowance by the side. And for the M line, I'll be placing the hip circumference divided by 4. The hip circumference divided by 4 is 9 inches plus 3 inches sewing allowance to the side to connect the point to the waistline as shown. So for the shirt to look feminine, you should add a little shape at the bottom of the M, and this is done by marking 2 inches vertically from the M line and 5 inches horizontally from the L line to connect the 2 points together to form a little curve on the side. After this, the next step is to mark half an inch above the shoulder slope, in which you'll be using to attach it to the back piece. The next step is to trim out the front piece. Alright, so after trimming out the front piece, the next step is to work on the back piece. For the back piece, you should fold the fabric into 2. After folding the fabric into 2, you should place the front piece on it as shown. Obviously, you can see that the placket in the center front of the front piece is still on fold. Now to get the measurement for the back piece. On the shoulder slope of the back piece, you need to add about 2 inches because the shoulder of the back piece is usually longer than the front piece since it's a shirt. And this will also have a collar. For the neck depth of the back piece, you should mark 1 inch to connect it to the neck width as shown to form a curved neckline. For the hem of the shirt, you can either make it equal or you can make the back piece of the shirt to be a bit longer than the front piece of the shirt. But in this case, I want the back piece to be a bit longer than the front piece of the shirt. To achieve this, you can decide to use any length of your choice. And before going further, remember that I marked about 6 inches from the edge of the hem to get this mark. Now I'll extend this mark downwards. So it is this mark that will guide us in getting the curve for the back piece. Now I want the length of the top at the back piece to be a bit longer than the front piece, to about 2 inches. So I'll just keep marking 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, and when I get to this point, I'll just stop. And from that point, I'll use my curved ruler to connect the 2 points together, or you can just use a freehand method. And if you want the back piece of your top to be way longer than the front piece, then you can also extend it to about 6 inches or 5 inches instead of using the 2 inches I used initially. Now the next step is to cut out the back piece. So both the front piece and the back piece is ready. The next step is to unpin the plackets in the center front. And you should also slit the center fold of the front piece into 2. So let's get started with the sewing. This is the front piece of the shirt. The first step is to fold the plackets in by 1.5 inches. After folding it by 1.5 inches, then you should fold the edge of the placket in by half an inch. And you should secure both edges with a stretch stitch. And you should repeat the same sewing process for the second piece of the front part as shown. This simply means that the total wideness of the placket is just 1 inch. The next step is to place the plackets on each other. Now I'll also place the back piece on the front piece as shown. To secure the shoulder slope by ½ inch. The next step is to place the bust circumference. The bust circumference divided by 2 is 17.5 inches. But if I should mark 17.5 inches, this simply means that the shirt is going to be too fitted on her. But in this case, you need to add about 1.5 inches extra to the sides. So that's 1.5 inches to this side, 1.5 inches to the side, making it 3 inches. So you just add 17.5 inches plus 3 inches, and that will be 20.5 inches. Now you can mark. So whatever allowance you have left at the side is what you'll be using for the waist and the hip circumference. So let me show you how to do this. After marking the bust circumference and the sewing allowance inside that wouldn't make it too tight, everything is just 20.5 inches. But at the side, I realized that the sewing allowance left was 1.5 inches. So what I did was to mark 1.5 inches on the waistline and on the hip line to connect the 3 points together. So the essence of marking same allowances on the side is because you don't want the shirt to look shapeless. So it's best to just use the same sewing allowance by the sides after you've gotten it from your bust circumference. The next step is to take this to the sewing machine to secure directly on the line I chalked. After securing the sides, the next step is to turn the shirt to the right side of the fabric. Alright, so the next step is to cut out the sleeve I'll be attaching to the shirt. Before taking the measurement of the sleeve, you should take the armhole circumference of your shirt. Here I have 9.5 inches. To get both sleeve at once, I'll be folding my fabric into 2, then I'll further fold it into 2. So I practically folded the fabric into 4. Please take note that the wideness of this fold is 13 inches. If you want your sleeve to be wider than mine, then you should add extra inches to that 13 inches to increase the wideness of the fold. Alright, so the first step is to mark the starting line of the sleeve. The next line is the cap sleeve line, which is 4 inches. After the cap sleeve line, you should mark a short sleeve length to which you want the flare to begin from. So the short sleeve length I'm using for this sleeve is 10 inches. You can also use it as a standard measurement for yours, since it's just the length and not the width. Alright, so the full length of the sleeve is 23 inches. I added 1.5 inches sewing allowance to that, and that made it 24.5 inches. So recall that the armhole circumference is 9.5 inches on the shirt. I placed this 9.5 inches on the cap sleeve line to mark. The next step is to connect this point to the tip of the starting line as shown in form of a slant line. Now I will get the midpoint of this slant line. To connect the midpoint upward to the tip of the starting line by ½ inch, and to connect it below the slant line. To get the width measurement you'll be using for the short sleeve length, you need to place your tape on the cap sleeve line to take the measurement you had. That measurement is 9.5 inches. So you have to subtract 1 inch from that 9.5 inches, and that will give you 8 inches. To mark on the line of the short sleeve length, now I'll connect the 2 points together. The reason I'd use this measurement is because it isn't a fitted sleeve, and this is the best way to get this sleeve shape we need. The next step is to place your tape above the hem line of the sleeve to about 6 inches. So these 6 inches I'm about to mark will be the length of the slit, which will be on the bottom of the sleeve itself. So if you want your slit to be longer than that, you can make it 7 or 8 inches, but I used mine to be 6 inches to connect that point to the measurements I marked on the short sleeve length. Now the next step is to mark 1 inch on the cap sleeve measurements, and that will be the sewing allowance, to connect it to the measurements I marked on the short sleeve. The next step is to trim out the sleeve. Because I folded this fabric into 4, you need to slit this part open. Securing the sleeve is very easy. First of all, on this edge, I'm going to fold it in by half an inch and further fold it in by half an inch. Take this to my sewing machine to secure it to this point. Then I'll raise the footer at that point to secure the hem of the sleeve by folding it half an inch and further folding it half an inch, and also raise the footer at this point to secure this edge by folding it half an inch and also folding it half an inch. And I'll repeat the same sewing process for the second sleeve. Alright guys, so I've secured both the slits of the sleeve and I've also secured the hem of the sleeve. The next step is to fold the sleeve into 2. Secure the side by 1 inch as directed, and the stitch should end at this point. Now you should turn the sleeve to the right side of the fabric, and the next step is to attach the sleeve to the armhole of the shirts. The next step is to take the measurements of the neck circumference. The neck circumference is 18 inches. This simply means that we need a bishop collar of 18 inches wide. For the bishop collar, I'll be making use of a gum stay. You should fold the gum stay into 2. To know the wideness of the fold, you divide the neck circumference by 2. The neck circumference is 18 inches. Divided by 2, I have 9 inches. So the first horizontal line is going to be 9 inches wide. The next step is to mark the midpoint of this line. The midpoint of this line is 4.5 inches. Now on the edge of this line, I'll mark 1 inch below that point to connect this point to the midpoint. The next step is to mark the length of the collar. The length of the collar is 1 inch, so I'll place my tape as shown to mark 1 inch all through. To connect the dotted lines together, the next step is to trim out the collar. The next step is to place the collar on the fabric to cut out, making sure that you have ½ inch sewing allowance on the sides as shown. Now I'll open the wrong side of the fabric, then I'll place the gum stay on it. To glue the gum stay using my pressing iron, After this, I'll also open the right side of the collar. So place the right sides of the collar on each other. After this, I'm going to secure the side. To secure the side, on this edge, you need to fold this side in by ½ inch. Then you secure it following the direction of my finger. Then when you get to this point, you also fold here in by ½ inch to secure it. After securing the side, you should turn this to the right side of the fabric. And to attach the collar to the neck circumference, you need to place the side of the collar without the gum stay directly on the wrong side of the neck circumference as shown to pin them together. And after pinning together, you secure them by ½ inch. To close the collar, you should fold the edge of these parts with the gum stay in by ½ inch. To secure it with a stretch stitch, the next step is to secure the hem of the shirt by folding it ½ inch. Then you further fold it in by ½ inch all through. The final step is to mark where you want the buttonholes to be and where you want the buttons to be. So this is the left part of the shirt, and I think that is where I want my buttonholes. The first buttonhole will be placed on the collar itself as shown. The next buttonhole is gotten by marking 1 inch after the line that joins the collar to the neckline as shown. And after this point, you can start marking 2 inches after each point. Alright, so after marking the buttonhole, I will take this to where I'm going to be doing the buttonhole machine. And once it is returned back to me, then I can repeat the same markings on the other side. So the reason why you shouldn't mark both sides first is because you don't want the person doing the buttonhole to be confused on which parts he or she should make the buttonholes. Alright, thanks for watching to the very end. I hope this tutorial was helpful. You should give it a try, and if you are new to my channel, my name is Nancy. Please subscribe, share and like my videos, and also put on your notification bell to be notified when I upload new tutorials.